Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are watching from different time zones, the person or the leader that I will interview would be good morning to her and good evening for some of you. For those who are new in this platform or the first time, it's your first time to see me, my name is Marilyn. I am the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited or CTS, and we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co creating, contextualizing, and customizing programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony Mobile, PruLife UK, Ayala Group, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, Legato Healthcare, and Shell, to name a few. And the reason why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview, is because we would like to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the next normal, or those who find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of a hybrid team, and of course to those who are afraid that you can't keep your team or your business. So to be able to stay relevant and continue to lead more effectively in any situation, join us in this intervention. And for those who are watching us live, please do join us in this conversation. And today I'm very privileged and excited to have this conversation with Catherine Prohaska. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She's a productivity and business coach, and Catherine is an experienced international manager and entrepreneur, a right and left brainer that brings together strategic thinking with creativity, keeping work fun without losing focus. She guides people to find their authentic way to become the true leader they want to be. She worked for large corporations and startups for over 25 years, leading projects and teams in the fields of marketing, sales, project management, collaborating with visionary, authentic, and successful leaders all over the world. Catherine is passionate about helping clients to develop and discover their own leadership style, become more productive, and develop and build their personal brands to empower them to grow and succeed. Without so much further ado, I'd like to invite Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Hello, Marilyn.
Thank you so much for making time to have this conversation with us. And just for our audience knowledge, I get to meet you from a common friend, um, which is Marie Kate. She was the one who said like, "Oh, why don't you interview Kat? She's really good," and all that stuff. So I said like, "Oh, okay." And then when I look for your profile on Facebook, I said like, "Oh, we have like some common messages that we bring into the world, and at the same time we have like a lot of mutual um, connections that we are connected with." And so is there anything that you'd like to share, or let's go ahead with the interview?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, first of all, just a big thank you to you for inviting me here. It's a big honor for me, and I'm super happy also to share my insights and to have a very interesting talk about leadership, the new reality, and how we can actually perform and get better in an easy way so we can be authentic leaders.
Wow, thank you so much for that. And again, it's our pleasure to have you today, and I look forward to learning from you. And to start with, please share with us your leadership experiences. And if you do have like influencers that you'd like to make mention of, um, perhaps leadership styles that you'd like to share, feel free to do so.
I will be very happy to do so. Yeah, so I mean, like from leadership as well, I mean, out of my experience, and I must say, I've been a very lucky person when it comes to that. I had the opportunity to work for several big leaders all around the globe. And the biggest thing I think I took away from them, that they have been all very visionary. They all had a clear goal, and they were inspiring, and they were thinking out of the box in ways to find new ways to become very successful. And this is something that inspired me also, to see the courage from these people, how they lead in their very special, authentic way. Because working with people around the globe and all ages as well, everyone has, a good leader has its own leadership style. And I think the speciality about all of this was like they have been very authentic. And that made them also very successful in the end. And I would say, like, this is one part of it, like having a good vision and having the way of leading and being inspiring. But on the other hand, they had the capability to listen and
Exactly.
to learn. And I think that's also the beauty about it. If you have a good leader that gives the opportunity to the team also to think
Mm-hmm.
and to understand, there is a lot of magic behind other doors, with great ideas that you can take on and maybe develop into a new thing. So from a business side, that's where I really learned a lot about leadership and how to perform in the right way and to take it, let's call it advantage,
Mm-hmm.
from other people's ideas. I mean, on the business side. And also, what for me big leadership was as well was the sports industry, because I've been a passionate rider. And
Wow.
yeah, I was in the cutting pen, I was in the world finals. And what I had to learn there is also like being a leader on my personal side, which is the other side. You need to be a good leader for yourself before you can go out and be a leader in the business world or in your own business. And especially with the horses, for example, you learn how to be consistent, to have a clear vision, a goal, and be patient as well. Work on something, work with the failures you have, and then just go on and have the trust in what you want to do and in your partner. In this case, it was the horse, to work together and to go together to your goals and succeed.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing your story, your experiences. And again, you're very, like as you've mentioned, you're very lucky to be able to work with great business leaders throughout your experience in the business, right? And also, again, I if I would highlight anything on the things that you've shared, what I got from you is really being as a leader, we need to have clear vision, we need to think outside of the box, and of course we need that courage. I actually remember that conversation I just recently had with Andrea, where she's actually sharing out about uncommon courage. It's her book. I think she's gonna launch it soon. So I mean, as a leader, we always have to be, have that courage, as you've mentioned, right? Because again, there will be things that we probably don't know, or that challenges that we will face. And I mean, even in your own personal experience, riding horses, it's all about, as you've mentioned, collaboration and really leading yourself, starting with that, right? So thank you so much for reminding us with all those messages. And before I proceed to the next question, I'd like to acknowledge Ni- Nina Karjalainen. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I think that's what I'm reading right now. So, thank you so much for sending us a like, and again, an invitation to everyone watching us live or on a replay to give us your aha moments, your and lessons that you get from Kat. And so that leads me to my next question. Having said that experience you just shared with us, what is leadership for you?
Leadership has a lot of different angles to look at, but to
Mhm.
me, the first thing is really like to demonstrate
Mm-hmm.
trust, and leading by example. I think that what makes a big and good leader into today's economy, even in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be a leader yourself first before you can go out and lead other people or lead a company or lead a project. You need to be sure about yourself and demonstrate that. That's the one big point to me. Then it's also about leadership is about sharing and
Mm-hmm.
listening. And that's how we learn every day. So we share our knowledge so everyone can learn from us, but we also want to listen and give the support as well and have this exchange.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way how we can place guidance, how we
Mm-hmm.
can lead people, and that's how, as a good leader, you can share the right people around you to create something great. So for me, that is really leadership. And I mentioned it already, having this clear vision, this
Mm-hmm.
courage, and you can inspire that way. And all this you can only do if you are a pure leader within yourself
Mm-hmm.
first.
And I really love how you've actually defined leadership and starting from really building trust and being an example to others. And I guess, like, that's part of building trust with your team, right? Being able to lead by example, walking the talk, right? It's not really so much of just, oh, I'm a leader, it's my position, and but it's really doing through doing that you are able to inspire more people to follow you as well, right? And to also help you towards the vision or the goals and the plans that you made mention right? So thank you so much for that, and I just want to acknowledge Muhammad Ali Ibrahim. Very perfect and smart topic on leadership and transformation. Yeah, would you please taking about leadership um, responsibility. Thank you for joining us, Mohammed, and for let us know like what will be your take, or if you have any questions on this important topic like what you've mentioned. And so that leads me to my next question. I mean, in my introduction, I made mention around next normal, and you've mentioned that, of course, leaders are also facing challenges, and that's the reason why they have to adapt as well. So I'm curious to know, how would you define and describe the next normal?
That's a very good question. And my question to you would be in this case is like, what is the next normal? Because the world is changing constantly and very, very fast right now. So it's not like in the past where you probably had a book and says like, yeah, the next normal starts on the 1st of January and then we go A, B, C, D, and that's the way we're going to continue for the next 12 months. So
Mhm,
I think the next normal is not like a set of guidance how you can do it, but the
mhm,
next normal to me is like being showing flexibility,
mhm,
adapt to what's coming to us, demonstrating the leadership in in a way that we show flexibility, how we
mhm,
show the leadership, and keeping on the other side our core beliefs. So
mhm,
I think that's the new needs really to have people that are flexible,
mhm,
also that keep their ethics, that keep their goals, that keep
mhm.
their visions, and just make these adaptations as needed and asked by the economy, by the market, or by the situation you're in.
Well, thank you. As if I really glad that you've shared that with us. Your meaning of next normal, especially that you've been working with leaders yourself, and you are a leader yourself, right? And again, it's really so much more around what I'm hearing from you is really so much more of constant changes, and the need to be flexible, and I like that despite the flexibility and despite the being able to be adaptable to the situation, you've mentioned that without losing your core beliefs and your vision, right? And that's really beautiful. I mean, we don't have um to forget about that or lose our core values, core beliefs, and our vision. We might need to change our approach, our processes, and yet we have to like remember, because that's our compass basically, right? Our our core values, our beliefs, right?
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing that with us.
Mhm.
And I would like to know, I mean, even without the next normal, or again, like what you asked me, right? What's even next normal, right?
Mhm.
From your experience, I mean, you've been working with corporate as a corporate leader for for 25 years, or with corporate leaders as well, right? So what would you say would be the top three problems that leaders normally face?
There's a very good question again, and it all melts together. But I think a big topic for leaders today is the fear of failure due to the constant changes we go through. And fear of failure means for us also to push ourselves, to set our limits, and to come in with a can do attitude. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also bringing in the fear of like, how far can I go? How far can I really go into my dreams, for example, as well, into my visions? And I think with this is also keeping that consistency, even with the fear of failure, that you still keep going and you follow your dreams and your vision. So that's one topic I see very much. Then also the overcoming limiting beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
because with fear of failure we also have the limiting beliefs on the other side that keep us in the place where we feel like, oh no, I can't go here, I can't go there.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine 3 years ago, before the pandemic, for example, it was not possible to have the Zoom calls, for example. It was not normal to have a meeting like this. And today it's part of everyday's business. And we just, that's the way we work. So everyone pushed itself to go in front of a screen, which already has been a small step for
Mm-hmm.
many, but it's a big step for the world. And I think overcoming our limiting beliefs in terms of visions, of going out, of showing, that's another one. That's a big topic for leaders. And the third one to me is really adapting to the change, which
Mm-hmm.
leads again into failure and limiting beliefs, and just like take the new situations that we face every day and then overcoming our own doubts and just be sure about us and knowing like that's where we want to go, and just live that goal and lead by example, lead with inspiration as well, and bring in the right people to your team. And I think this is really like the three biggest ones for me that I saw also with
True.
leaders going through these topics.
And again, like it's very common for us to have that fear, to have that limiting beliefs. In fact, the first person who will doubt us, who will have fear, and who would impose those limiting beliefs is ourselves.
That's
Unfortunately, right? So but then it starts with self-awareness, right? When you see those triggers, or when you feel that, oh, it's just fear. And the good thing about that, like what I've learned from most of my Chinese friends, that in the Chinese character, crisis actually means two things. So crisis, which is the challenges that we're facing, but if you look at it on the other side, it actually also brings us opportunities, depending on how we see the situation that are imposed upon us, or that is happening to us, right? So it's really like one of the silver linings, I guess, that the pandemic has brought about, is really for leaders to step up and look into the opportunities despite of the challenges that are happening to us, right? So thank you so much for sharing this top leadership problems. But of course, we will not leave our audience with these top problems. We would like to help them by identifying. And so, despite having this problem, what can you do about it, right? What are the important leadership skills and capabilities that you must have in the next normal in order to continue to lead effectively?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it all comes again to communication and
Mm-hmm.
being a good listener. So, this is like one of the top things, communicating, exchange, and listen, and then make up your vision, adapt your vision, and show that flexibility. So, that's very important. Bringing then your vision and in a way that you can actually inspire others, because that's all you need, the
Mm-hmm.
inspiration to bring it out, to bring it into your teams, into the world, and show people like, hey, maybe we don't know it yet today, but I know that's going to be the way it will be, and that's where we're going. So that's certainly one thing. Then you need to also have this problem solving
Mm-hmm.
attitude, very much so. So with the flexibility, if your plan goes a little bit to the right or to the left, to have the flexibility. Say, okay, let's adapt. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something we need to know and um, evolve also in ourselves to be able to do this. Then I mentioned that before, also keeping our own values at the same time. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's very important. That's the way you lead, with your values, your ethics, with your authentic you. That's super important. And that makes you the person you are, and that makes you a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then another point to me also would be being resilient.
Mm-hmm.
And resilience is such a big topic because we have failures on our way to success. It's
Mm-hmm.
a process. And we
Yeah.
need to trust also that process, that by overcoming failure, we learn from that and we can do it better, adapt it, and become really, really successful that way, by learning from our own mistakes or failures and also learning from the others. So to me, these are the most important more important points for the leadership in today's world.
Yes, thank you. And not so much of what you have shared is like something new, right? I mean, even before the pandemic, we've been like always hearing how communication skills has been really important and usually the challenge for most leaders, right? 6 out of 10, according to a statistics I've read, 6 out of 10 leadership skills is actually around communication. And I'm glad you actually highlighted this as one of the first capability or skill that a leader must have. But what I wanted to actually remind our audience with as well is what you've said, that listening has a crucial role in the communication, right? Because I think this is where um, the communication really uh, gets how would I say that, like where the problem arises, right? When we
Mhm.
fail to listen and listen better to our team, to other people, right? And again, you've mentioned about the vision, the plans, and adaptability, which is like, somehow I would say like a buzzword in this um new normal, next normal, whatever you want to call it. But again, it's part of us, right? It's part of how we can actually move towards where we want to be, the to be able to be flexible, to adapt, to have change um in our life, right? And also of course we have to do like the problem solving, critical thinking, and again, like especially for us entrepreneurs, Kat, right? And the people that we work with, it's or like business people, it's really about being resilient, really, because there will be a lot of challenges or failures, and the more you test, the more you experiment, the more you have to be resilient about that, because you can only succeed when you know how to be resilient and connect that those dots,
Mhm.
right? So thank you for identifying all these important skills that you have shared. And before I ask the next question, I have a question from Mohammed. How do you manage a conflict situation, and what was the hardest decision you have taken as a leader? You might want to address this. I think it's in connection also with our earlier question.
Hmm. I mean, the hardest, oh, that I mean, I had a lot of hard decisions to take, really. But to me, always, if I come across a bigger problem as well, it's for me first to understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the first thing. I need to understand where is the source of my issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to call it problem. It also gives me also that negative touch to it. So I call it a challenge or an issue. And I want to know first where is the root. And
Mm-hmm.
then I want to understand why this happened, for example, and go from there and speak to the people to understand also, like, I'm a lead. If I'm a leader, I'm somewhere on top of a project. I don't know the details. I want to understand the details as well a little bit better, so I can take a decision. And it might be that we need to change a little bit the compass, our GPS, to go into a different direction. It might also be that the wrong people had been in the wrong place. And this is also bad leadership. For me, it's like having the right people in my teams, equipped with the right know-how in the right task. And sometimes this also means that we have to kind of change teams around or exchange someone. And this is always the toughest thing. If you have to go and say, like, I have to change this, I need another person with another experience, another know-how behind. I think these were always, to me, on a personal level, a very hard decision, because I work so close with my teams. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it really is very hard to leave like my friends, basically, and on them as well. But that's also about the leadership and finding a good solution for them. And I always try to do this. That's to me, probably in general, to talk about how I deal with this and how I manage
Mm-hmm.
such kind of situations. But it always depends where you're at. I mean, it's not a clear guidance.
True. Thank you so much for answering this very important question that Muhammad has raised for us. And again, like in any conflict, it's really about understanding it, like what you've said. And again, the key will be communications as one of the capabilities that most important capabilities and leadership skills that a leader must have, right? It's really like I would say any conflict should be able to be addressed by, having that proper communication and understanding of whatever it is, right? So thank you for reminding us. And again, thank you, Mohammed, for raising that important and difficult question at the same time. So that leads me to my next question, which is, what do you believe is the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in thriving in the next normal?
Mm. That's a very good question. And I probably would start with one thing. I mean, like, you always have to go and learn on a constant level. I mean,
Exactly.
if I look at my life, for example, if I would have stopped learning
Mhm,
when I was finishing college, I mean, I wouldn't be there where I'm today. Um, Things are adapting all the time. And maybe I take an example. It's like when you were learning how to drive a car, and that's what
mhm,
I did, let's say in the 80s. So the
mhm,
car was very basic. You had the clutch, you have an accelerator, you have a heater. It was very easy, a lot of manual things.
mhm,
35 years later, if you get a car, you have a lot of buttons and you need to know where to push and what to do. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to use all the possibilities of your new car,
mhm,
which doesn't mean the old stuff that you learned is not relevant in this moment. I mean, you still want to know, you still need to know how you drive your car and all the basics. But to be in today's times, you also need to know all the other technologies that come
mhm,
across to make your life better, easier, faster, and more enjoyable as well. And I think this is what it means about learning, about transformation, about being alert what's happening today in the
True.
markets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the importance about to be knowledgeable, to learn every day. And when I learned one thing also from all the great leaders around me is they've been constantly learning something new every day.
Mm-hmm. True, true. And I totally agree with you. As a leader, we always have to like constantly learn and improve and make use, experiment and so on. It's a cycle, right? Because like a lot of things, despite that, we know our values, we have our beliefs, some things are working, but what might be working before may no longer work in the future, right? So it's really about um continuous learning in order to be adaptable as well. That's where we start adapting and working on the difficulties or the challenges that we might be facing in the future. So thank you. And
Exactly. And maybe just one thing to add also, it's not only on the like on the hard facts, like on technology or how we come from A to B, it's also on
Mhm.
a social level. It's like
True.
what's very important nowadays also to understand how the generations work.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like in the past where you could be like a big leader and you would just like tell your people what to do and everybody would like perform. Today we need to understand how generations work, like
Exactly.
the millenniums or the generation Ys, and they all work in a different way. And if you want to be a great leader, you need to understand what's behind these people, what's the thinking, how they work, what are their goals, what are their visions. And that's the way you can also succeed as a leader with all the different kind of people you have to or you do work every day now.
Yeah, very true. And I'm glad you really raised that issue that quite a lot of leaders are facing right now, like in some conversations and interventions I have organized, that always has come up during the conversation on like how do we handle this and that from this and that generation. But in the end, it's really like how it is. I mean, like you are working with diverse human humans, right? And people will have different personalities and insights as well, perspective on different things, whether it's a difference of culture, of age, or of gender and all those stuff. But that's where you actually can leverage on diversity, equity and inclusions, right? with those um, with those like different perspective ideas that everyone has, you get to leverage on those strengths and what could be used or which one could be better applicable to this problem, right?
Exactly. And leadership is really constant learning. It's not a title you gain one day and you have it for life. It's something you have to work on every day.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I really appreciate like what we have covered in the last six questions. And now that leads me to my last two questions, which I would normally would say my Miss Universe question, because these are very open questions. And
Wow.
I'm really curious to know what are you or how are you answering and how did you pick the answers to these very open questions. So if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it?
Oh my God, that's such a cool question. I love that one. And I think I will create a box and will
Mhm,
give that box it's to the people out in the world. And that box would contain
mhm,
four magic
mhm,
wonders in it. And the first one will be I will give them power. Power is so important. And in order to be successful, you need to have that inner power that you want to achieve. You want to have, um, you want to go and reach for the stars. It's like
mhm,
having the power, like knowing, like I want to go and climb Mount Everest and have the power to really go through the process from A to Z doing the training, doing the preparation, and then just go up and climb and have this patience. So power is the first magic thing I will give into that box. The second would be understanding. The understanding about ourselves and about the understanding about what's happening in the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand, without putting the effort and the power, you're not gonna reach your goals. And to
Mm-hmm.
understand, like, you are the change in yourself. I think that's
True.
very important. It's nice to put something on a vision board and say, like, yeah, I want to be like the CEO of the multicultural company. You need to do it. You need to have the understanding and you need to have the power to go and make it happen. So that would be the second one. The third one would be resilience
Mm-hmm.
again. And we talked about this before. Success is also building on failures. We need to learn from our failures, adapt, stand up, and go on without losing our faith, our vision, and our power. So that's very, very important to have also that inner strength to recover very fast. So the
Yeah.
third one would be resilience, and
Mm-hmm.
the fourth would be courage. And courage, again, so important, with the vision to go new ways, to lead by example, to show off with our ideas, and just be very sure that this is what is going to happen and this is what's going to work. So that's what would be what I would give in my magic chocolate box to everyone, with the four pieces of chocolate: power, understanding, resilience, and courage.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I really hope you have that magic one on your hand so that you can actually, share that with as much people. But again, this conversation alone, and of course, the work that you do has been, really, I would say, focus a lot on this, like being a productivity and a business coach, right? It's
Yes.
what you do on a daily basis, right? And this is what I would say you would say or inspire the clients that you work with to have all these four important um powers that you just shared. And it's interesting when you said understanding while you were actually sharing that. I actually thought of like, oh yeah, I'm not sure if I read or I have heard it from my meditation that where they said that um knowing others is wisdom, but knowing yourself is enlightenment, because you highlighted a very important message in that understanding. It's really understanding yourself, others, and the things that are going on around you in order to equip you to be able to adapt and address all those challenges that you face, right? So I really love that part. Um, and so that leads me to my last question. If you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? What question would you ask yourself? And because you can answer, you can best answer that, please do answer that for us as well.
Oh, yeah. It's just so, I mean, I have a lot of questions I ask myself, and I hear from a lot of other people as well. But I think and going through the up and downs in business as well,
Mhm.
growing, going through failures, going through success. I
True.
think a question that always came up is like, why are other people more successful than I? And why are they smarter? Are they more beautiful? Are they from a better setup? Are they more organized? What is it? And I think that's the big question I ask myself all the time, also to grow and to become better. And going back into myself and to my experiences, this has been something I always have to come back to the
Mhm.
core values of what is a good leader. And it's not about being blonde or dark or more taller or beautiful or whatever it is. If I look about the highlights, it's always about these people, everyone, you need to be passionate about what you do. that, and you need to be authentic in what you do. You can't copy someone. I can't be you, you can't be me. You need to be very authentic and then very passionate about what you do and bring this to the people. So that is one point. Then also like this never give up attitude in leadership for your projects, if it's personal or in the private sector, that never giving up, that vision, that firm goal, you want to go and get there. That's also a very important thing. And again, with flexibility as well, like you can't do it here, do it in another place. Go a little bit more to the right, go a little bit to the left. And that's what I also learned from successful people, keeping that flexibility. And also about flexibility goes with stretching. Go
Mm-hmm.
over your boundaries. Where can I go? What can I do more? What can I do better? Where is my courage to go and do something more adventurous? Let's call it this way. Bring new ideas and stick with your ideas and match them with your vision and your goals. And I think this is like the magic answers that I have to for myself. So it's like, why are others? And this person is like, yeah, you have to be more passionate. You need to be also more knowledgeable. So permanent reading, educating, exchanging again comes in as well. These are the most important points to me. And just stand up for what I am and stand up for and show off and say like, hey, that's me, that's the authentic me, and nobody can be like me, and that's how I can become the right person and be successful in my day. And I know it's very hard sometimes, especially if you go through a failure and you need to work on your resilience as well. But going back to these core values actually is the answer to this question that I ask myself from time to time as well.
Wow, that's a lot of very good nuggets for us to remember and to pay attention to, right? In order for us to be successful. And again, despite that, success might be or looks different from each and every one of us, when we are able to know ourselves, right? And to be able to do most, if not all, of these, at least, we know that we're on the right track. And most importantly, I think the two favorite things that you've shared just now is really, I educating themselves every day. It's really about continuous learning in order for us to be able to address or do most of these, right? To For us to have clear plan, to be adaptable, to not give up, to go out of comfort zone, and to learn from our failures. It's all about learning, right? It's all about continuous learning. If we just, I guess, choose just one one of these, right? And again, I love the last part that you've said, to stand up, to know who they are, and stand up for themselves, show up. And it's interesting that, like, we like to compare ourselves with others, right? Which is kind of common for most of us. And yet, and yet you've mentioned and highlighted that, each and everyone is unique, and we cannot really copy anyone, and we actually, like, run our own path, and also have our own timelines. I just recently read like a post also on LinkedIn, I think by Dato Indera. And then he said, like, it really, like, it made me reflect. Oh yeah, I like, it's so easy for us to compare ourselves with others when we are actually different, running a different game, a different timeline, with other people, right? So I really appreciate you reminding us on this very very important topic, or reminder that we need to pay attention to. So thank you for that.
Welcome now. And I think it's really important. We need to know who we are first, and we need to have a very clear vision of where we want to go.
Mhm.
And comparing is not the right thing to do. But
Exactly.
what is always good, getting inspired by these people. If someone is really super successful, go and have a look, learn from these people. How do they organize themselves? How they place their visions? How do they show their authentic selves?
Mm-hmm.
That's the better way to go and to learn, and then make the bring it into yourself, and then use that information and make it yours.
Mm-hmm. True. Thank you. Thank you so much for this for those reminders again, Kat. So before we end this session, is there any additional message that you'd like to leave our audience with?
For me, what I would really like to bring in here is really like, whatever you do in life, believe in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
have a firm goal and a vision, and be yourself with that vision and go out and show it. It's no, you don't need to hide, just have that plan
Mm-hmm.
and believe in your plan, but keep the flexibility so you can go and adapt whatever the market or your project needs to become successful. And then everyone is in, it has the capability to be successful. Everyone, no matter where you are, in what business you are in, there everyone has it in themselves. And you have to believe in that, and you are the change. You can make it happen. No one else can do it for you. Only you can make it yourself.
Wow, thank you for that beautiful message to believe in oneself, to be uniquely you. And despite of having a plan, being flexible and believing that you can succeed no matter what, right? So thank you so much for that really beautiful message. I really appreciate the inspiration, this encouraging conversation. Thank you so much, Kat, for all the insights that you have shared with us. And again, I would like to thank also everyone, especially those who are watching us live, um, for supporting us in this conversation. So again, for those who will watch us on a replay, feel free to um, still continue to ask your question or give us your take or aha moments in this conversation. Thank you so much again, Kat, for your time, for your insights, and for your encouragement to everyone who's listening to us. And again, this is an invitation for the rest of the audience to join us in this journey to create an opportunity through these several interventions by creating a world that we believe in or that we would like to have, right? And remember that even the richest investors in the world would say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in yourself. So, with that, we would like to leave you with this quote that if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you so much again, Kat. And Kong Shifa Chai, or Happy New Year to everyone who's celebrating.
Well,
Bye for now.
thank you so much. It was a great pleasure to be here on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.